breaking news that the US Coast Guard has said that a debris field has been found in that search area where they were looking for Titan.
Good evening. Yes, of course, we've naturally been praying and hoping for good news as a collective of worldwide Titanic enthusiasts for the last few days, ever since the news broke that the Titan was missing. I know that as a collective now we will be deeply concerned following the recent announcement by the US Coast Guard that a debris field has been found. Obviously, it's unconfirmed as of yet whether this is in fact Titan, but as your co-host just then was saying, you would expect with the quality of the camera work available on this ROV that they would be able to tell a distinct difference between debris which are, from 1912 and those which are much more modern, and even those from maybe 5 years ago, as you've just said. Naturally, the British Titanic Society, we're all concerned about the news, but we must await that update from the US at 8 o'clock this evening.
How you feel yourself, or on behalf of the British Titanic Society, really, about people going on these kind of expeditions, really? I suppose there is a school of thought that says this is fascinating and should be done, and it's also great in a kind of exploratory sense, because we don't know a huge amount about the seabed, for example, and any more information could be great. However, there is maybe another school of thought as well that says the Titanic is, a historic graveyard, really, and maybe should be left alone. What do you think?
I absolutely understand both points of view. In fact, as a society, we don't have a single viewpoint on these particular missions. We, as a society, have members who are, in fact, descendants of both survivors and those who unfortunately lost their lives back in April 1912. And as a result, we listen to all of their perspectives. Some people do believe this is a mass grave site, and therefore they wish that their relatives' graves and bodies and souls were left to lay at rest and in peace. Yes, again, we have other perspectives whereby people are frustrated that those on board this particular mission on the Titan are being labelled as tourists. Many believe they are scientists. They're going down to explore the depths of the sea, to find out more about the Titanic wreckage. And naturally, there's a worldwide fascination with the Titanic, whether that's because the story was introduced to you as part of the British national curriculum at school, or maybe you do have a personal link with the Titanic in your own family. There's huge interest in this, and I wouldn't want to criticise any individual for making a decision to go down there, because we know people all around the world who go on great expeditions, whether that's climbing Mount Everest or visiting the Valley of the Kings, which is essentially another mass grave site. So we must respect all people's perspectives, but naturally everybody, no matter what their stance on visiting the wreckage, is united in their grief in relation to what's potentially happened here with Titan.
And the exact nature of this search and rescue operation epitomises why the Titanic, I think, maybe captured people's, imaginations and the news agenda, etc., because as well of how remote this area is. We've seen that a French deep-sea robot, Victor 6000, that has been deployed. The Canadian vessel Horizon Arctic has also been deployed with its own ROV. That was apparently, interestingly, on the sea floor. We're just getting a bit more information here now, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. The fact that we're having to try to fly so many international resources in the length of time it's taken to get things there just shows, really, how remote and how, if things go wrong, dangerous the area where the Titanic is.
Absolutely. As we know, technology has improved since the Titanic sank, but it took 73 years to find the wreckage itself. And consequently, exploring the sea at those depths is never going to be easy. I'm sure we've heard lots over the last few days that the pressure at the exterior of the Titan, down at those depths of 3,800 metres, would have been about 3.5 tons per cubic inch. So the pressure at those levels is incredible. Sunlight doesn't penetrate any further than 1,000 metre deep. So the conditions which the rescue operation are having to work with in an area double the size of the state of Connecticut, it is obviously a vast challenge.
OK, all right. Well, look, Martin, thank you very, very much. He's Martin Blyth-Sweetingham there, who's the spokesperson for the British Titanic Society. And can I just ask, Martin, sorry, before I let you get going, There was something that I think you said to me, though, was that right, about the members of the British Titanic Society being relatives, descendants of people who survived and sadly didn't survive during the initial disaster, I suppose you could call it.
We have members from all around the world, and some of our members, not all of them, but some of them are descendants of people who are on board the Titanic. Earlier this year, our annual convention in Southampton, I met with direct relatives of those people who unfortunately were on board. So again, their perspective will always be different to those who are maybe only connecting with the Titanic through their love of the James Cameron film or learning about it at school.
No, exactly, and I do wonder whether or not, as well, certain members of the British Titanic Society will, be uniquely placed to feel desperately, as that breaking news emerged that debris has been found. We are awaiting confirmation as to whether or not this is Titan. We'll have to wait and see on that, but the word itself doesn't make it seem particularly good. But whether or not members of the British Titanic Society will be uniquely placed to really send their hearts out, really, to the relatives of the people who were on board Titan, Hamish Harding being one of them, Paul-Henri Nagalet, Mr. Titanic, as he was known, Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, and then, of course, as well, we've got the two Darwoods, the father and the son just 19, a student at Strathclyde University as well. And I just wondered maybe if there is a bit of a message from the British Titanic Society for the relatives of the people who were potentially are on Titan.
Absolutely. For the last few days since the news broke, we've obviously extended our thoughts and prayers to the people on board Titan, but also their friends and family as well. We can't even begin to imagine the grief and worry and anxiety they're experiencing, but we can assure them that we are united in that. And whatever the outcome of this search and rescue operation, we will always remember the legacy of this expedition.
Martin, thank you. Martin Blyth-Sweetingham there, spokesperson for the British Titanic Society. Really poignant stuff. Paul Hawkins is still with me in the studio, our national reporter. So